Well, the last class was the 2-year-old class. Now we're into the age does in the show. And then very soon we'll have the champion percentage drive. Certainly in this class of age does, most of these does should be gestating. They should be bred and uh, considering the normal kidding time here in the state of Texas, you would think they would kid fairly soon.
What was that word you used? Should be gestating? What'd you say?
Sort of what I said.
Okay.
in her age doe category. I really like this female I'm starting the class with. I think she's a combination of structural correctness and volume. She just puts it all together in a very complete package. I really like how she ties into it, neck and shoulder and front end. She's super clean. She's really long-bodied. She's really level out through that hip, carrying a ton of muscle and foot size and bone to go with that, and just a very nice overall package. The doe in second, you get her on the move, you really appreciate everything about her. She ties in very neat, top of the shoulders. She's really level out through that hip. She's very long in her body. She's got good angularity. She's a little fuller today. It kind of takes away from her. I just don't think she has quite the power and dimension of muscle, the one that wins the class. This red long cape doe, paint doe, really caught my eye at first when she came in. I just don't think she has quite the balance. I don't think she has quite the overall power and dimension of muscle out through her hip and down to the ground like we have on the two above her. The doe that comes next, again, I love this doe when you get her in motion. She's really up-headed, takes a good long stride. She just doesn't have quite the volume, the squareness, and the power right into the center of her tail. The young lady ends the class today, again, just needs more muscle, just has not had the condition and feed in them that the other females have, and that's why she's down at the end of the class today. Let's give them a nice hand.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Holland. Our third place finisher is Rebecca Sullivan, Aledo FFA. Second place goes to Avery Fisher, Collin County 4-H member, and our class winner from the Leonard FFA chapter, Jada Young. We'll give these youngsters just a few minutes to recompose themselves. We'll get them lined up in the back, and then we will bring all of our class winners and reserves back out for the selection of our champion percentage. If you have a full blood, y'all can start working your way this direction. About the time we get all of our first and second places in the arena, we would like to start staging our full bloods. That'd be class 10 full bloods doe kids. Coming in for our champion drive, out of our Class 2, first place, Skylar Yao, Wilson County 4-H member. Class 3, from the Leonard FFA chapter, Jada Young. Class 4, Aris Barrientos, Tascosa FFA. Class 5, Jordan Lunday, Guadalupe County 4-H member. Class 6, Talia Ochoa, Sherryland Pioneer, FFA. Class 7, Jada Young, Leonard FFA. Our second place finishers, back to Class 2, Lindy Beth Rivas, Hidalgo County 4-H. Class 3, Talia Ochoa, Sherryland Pioneer FFA. Class 4, Vivian Cherison, Parker County 4-H. Class 5, Skylar Yao, Wilson County 4-H. Class 6, Wyatt Stevens, Mullen FFA. And Class 7, Avery Fisher, Collin County 4-H.
Well, Mr. Holland is about to select his grand champion percentage Bordeaux. There are 2 classes of kids, the 6 to 9 month old kids and the 9 to 12 months. Then there are 2 classes of yearlings. 12 to 18 and 18 to 24, and then our 2-year-old does and our aged doe.
Well, they're going to give the formal presentation of all the awards and banners with our committee members at a later time, I guess, when we finish the full blood show. But again, it's been my privilege to sort through our percentage of females, and they receive that $10,000 scholarship, which is just outstanding, and y'all can use it in your education, and that's just a wonderful thing. And you, anytime you have an opportunity to see any of these committee members, walk up to them and thank them for the hours and time and the efforts, the money that they go to put this money together to give to y'all where you can further your education, and that is a wonderful thing. We have our class winners out here. We started with our youngest doe kid down to our age doe at the end. We've discussed them all in class. I think it's a very nice set of females, and better than that, an outstanding set of young people. Let's put our hands together for a show of appreciation, and we'll pick our grand champion.
Your champion percentage doe comes to us from the aged class, class 7. That is Jada Young, Leonard FFA member. We'll slide that second place back over, and Mr. Holland can evaluate them. Your reserve champion comes out of class 5. That is Jordan Lunday. Jordan is a member of the Guadalupe County 4-H program. So congratulations to those two. We are going to hold the scholarship presentation until we can finish the full blood show, and then do both of them at the same time. That way the dignitaries from the show only have to come over once. So we appreciate that. We're just going to take about a 3-minute break, 5 minutes maybe, and we're going to roll straight into the full blood show. The first class, class 10, only has 2 entries in it. So if you're in class 11, please start working your way to the staging area. We have our 2 entries for class 10 in the staging area, but if you're in class 11, please start working your way forward. Class 10 is entering the arena at this time. Full blood doe kids. 2 entries in Class 10. So if you're in Class 11, please be at the staging area at this time.
Well, this is the first class in the full blood boar goat show. These would be 3 to 6 month olds, I believe. We're going to talk a little bit more about the history of the boar goat and how it came, and we are fortunate to have Norman Coles here with us, because Norman was one of the first members or the key people to get this industry started in the United States. Norman's he helped to organize the American Boar Goat Association, and his membership number is 1, and so he's had a tremendous influence.
We just have 2. We place
Yes.
one officially. One I'm using is a very nicely balanced doe. She has some product in her. She has some nice rib-shaped curvature. She handles real good down over her top. A little thicker when you get in behind her, right through the center of the tail. She just shows more natural muscle and thickness. She's a little wider base coming to me or going away. The black-headed doe, certainly a big frame doe, later maturing type doe. She just doesn't have quite the overall development of muscle at this time to compete against this one, the girl that wins the class. So 1 and 2, let's give them a nice hand.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Holland. Class 10, the same young lady had both of the individuals out there, Leticia Ramirez, Rio Grande City, FFA.
As we talk a little bit more about the boar goat and how it came into the United States, we'll let Norman talk about that a little bit. There's never been a species change as rapidly by the introduction of another source, I guess, a breeding source, as we've seen in the meat goat industry in Texas as a result of the boar goat coming into the nation. And I'm going to ask Norman to talk just a little bit about how that all started. And of course, there used to be 3 boar goat associations. I think we're down to still just the American Boar Goat Association now, which is Norman
10 individuals
was influential in beginning.
Class 11, we will place 4.
Well, you know, the idea of bringing the boar goats over here, actually, Dr. Shelton really put the bug in my bonnet when we were over there at the experiment station weighing rams a long time ago. And
that was Dr. Maurice Shelton, who was a researcher at the for the Texas Agricultural Experiment Station located at San Angelo.
yeah, and he said, well, boys, you know those boar goats are going to finally become available to the world. And that zipped right over my friends' heads. But I took that home, and my little girls were starting to want to show goats. And I told my wife, I said, these boar goats are going to come out, and we got to have a buck out of that if we're going to make our kiddos competitive. And I can assure you, I thought you had to take the space shuttle to get to New Zealand when I saw where it was on the globe. But my wife figured it out, and eventually I got over there, and with some friends from Garden City, we got some of those goats and some of the genetics over here to the U.S., and one thing kind of led to another, and then we actually got goats out of Australia next, and then eventually there was one import brought in from South Africa, a live goat import. Jurgen Schulson Pet Center put that together and brought those goats over here. There was about 1,100 of them at one point in time, and I think we got maybe 500 of them past the quarantine and all the tests that they had to pass. They got over here, and that really put fire into the whole system. So that took a little while, but like I was telling someone, I said, maybe we've been at this 26, 7 years, but in terms of breeding livestock, that's not very long and not a very great deal of time. But it changed the dynamics of the goat business, just because all of a sudden we were sending goats to that eastern market that had some actual meat and muscle in them. And then the competitiveness at the market started on. They began to buy them by the pound, and one thing led to another, and till they're pretty valuable right now if you sell any by the pound.
Well, and of course the population dynamics changed in the United States, and so demand for goat meat itself increased dynamically. And of course, to have an animal that would actually yield so much better tremendously impacted the industry.
Yeah, there's no doubt that it brought about a lot of change in the way the goats were marketed then and the way they're marketed now, and so. But it's the ethnic market that drives this thing. No ifs, ands, or buts about that.
And for those of us who actually were reared on goat meat, I mean, we can have a special appreciation for it. Most of us, like Norman and I, who grew up in the hill country of Texas, everybody on the 4th of July to celebrate Independence Day, we had a barbecue, and most times that meat that we ate was goat meat. Whether you call it chevin or cabrito or whatever you call it, and it is, of course, one of the most wholesome red meat products that we have in the entire nation, and so it fits very well in that regard.
Well, and you got to remember when you're talking about when you and I were kids, we're talking about a $20 goat kid. So what was cheaper to put on the pit than that? You couldn't even buy chicken for what you could buy that goat kid for. So
that's exactly right.
Yeah, so we ate goat meat. It was a matter of economics of the time.
Yeah, in communities, they just when they celebrated Independence Day, the 4th of July, everybody got together, and of course you had to feed the whole community. Of course, where Norman and I were reared, those communities weren't too big at that time.
No,
they've changed dynamically since, but
yeah, and it was, as you said, it was a community.
Yeah,
and so if we were going to have something, it was for everybody. And certainly we've lost all of that in this country now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case.
Yeah.
But
All my kinfolks lived within 14 miles of my house when I was a kid.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I didn't know you did anything when you didn't have the whole family. And then you did something big like the 4th of July, everybody came.
I can remember those 4th of July goat barbecues vividly. That's some of the fondest memories of as a child that I have.
Yeah, well, you know, they just let us run wild and do what we wanted to with our friends. And some of us landed in the creek, and some of us landed up in a pecan tree. And, you know, you just didn't know where the kids all were going to be dispersed to. But you had 100 mamas looking after you in those days, you know, and not one.
We're going to shut down just for a minute here. It's very important that we visit with a couple of fellas here, and then we'll get back to discussing this.
Yeah, we got some of our old compadres showing up.
He's placing out Class 11. We're missing 4 entries from Class 12. We still need 4 entries from Class 12. Please report to the staging area.
Well, I just pulled one young man when we were walking around. So if you didn't win that class, it made me look pretty bad. So anyway, no, I stay with you. I just think there's just more good in this female. Certainly appreciate the muscle she has. She's really good ribbed, really big top, big ended. Maybe she's a little bit round, a little shorter in her hip. I'd like to change that and level her out just a little bit. But she just has so much power and dimension there, you just can't get around her in this class. The red paint, really a long-bodied doe. You appreciate that. She's very clean. She's very long up to that neck and front end, very tall. On the shoulders, she just doesn't have quite the edges. Just needs to be thicker, to go up over that doe in front of her. Perhaps she's just a little bit leveler in her hip than the one that starts the class, but just doesn't have the power. The one in third does have some depth. I like that full rib. I like that depth all the way back. I put her in motion. She kind of comes in at the base, just narrows up, and just not as structurally correct, and that's why she winds up down that third hole. This is a really thick-ended doe that comes in next. She's just a little shorter when you measure the total length of hind saddle. Just like stretch her out just a little bit. Very feminine doe comes next. Beautiful head, really strong lower jaw on her. Just a little bit narrow, a little flatter in her rib. Just needs a little more muscle. Young lady to go up any higher in the class. Nice class. Let's give them a nice round of applause.
Placings in Class 11, full-blood Bordeaux's. Fourth place, Lexi Gravely, Aubrey, FFA. Third place, Deandra Chapa, Lasada, FFA. Second place, Talia Ochoa, Sherryland Pioneer, FFA. And first place out of the Lavernia FFA chapter, J. Preston Wallace. Still need one entry for Class 12. We're missing one entry from Class 12. That's a big class, 22 records there. We're missing one. Please make your way to the staging area.
I guess we've made it through two classes now. We apologize for stepping out for a minute, but some of our old county agent buddies all showed up out here all at one time, so we had a sort of a little reunion back here behind the stands. So I apologize for that, but as you get older, you appreciate those few moments you get to spend with your lifelong friends, even if it is just for a little bit. That's one reason why we come back to these stock shows, some of us old timers, because they're just like a reunion. That bunch all works over there in the cattle barns, and I don't know how they escaped today, but they snuck over here, and we all got together and told a few stories. So now we're on Class 3 of these full-blood boars. I wish I could tell you what the age was on these, but I'm not sure. I think it's the oldest kid class, but I might be telling you a story. This might be the biggest class. I'm not certain, but there's 21 or 2 in this class, so that's That's I guess it's nearly a third of all the boar goats right here in this one class. But isn't it fun, all the good camera work that's going on here, where you're getting to see everything we're supposed to see, and you're getting to see it closer even than we get to see it from up here on the stands.
Class 12 is in the ring now. Be your first call, Class 13. First call, Class 13.
Anything he might see, you're getting to see it firsthand, too. You're just as close as Eddie is. You can see him standing right here handling the goats. So you can have your own personal opinion.
Well, Norman, have you continued to tell them a bit about the history of the boar goat here in the U.S.?
No, I haven't told them any more stories.
Well,
I couldn't.
you know,
I couldn't tell you where we left off.
I couldn't either. That's the thing. But certainly the boar goat, as we were saying earlier, had the largest impact on a species of livestock, I think, in our country that we ever have seen. Changed the dynamics of the marketing system. Certainly changed the importance of goat meat. And it wasn't only the introduction of the boar goat that did that, as we talked earlier in the day about the loss of the incentive program for the Angora goat. Then it became really unprofitable for a while for Angora goat producers to be in the industry because they didn't have the support program. But it was still very vitally important to noxious brush control for us to have goats in the hill country, and so they played a vital role in Texas, but not only in Texas, and throughout the United States.
Yeah, the goat's a natural environmentalist.
Very definitely, very definitely.
Yeah, you can see the beautiful ranches that where everything is pruned up as high as they can stand on their hind leg. And you pull these goats out of there, and the next thing you know, you got a cedar break.
Yeah. And even when we go east over into the Carolinas, you have some noxious plants over there that goats love, and they do very well on that.
Well, I had a friend over there in Ohio, and his mama wanted to see the creek down below their house again, and it was just full of these little saplings and stuff. And I said, why don't you just put a electric fence around those 9 acres and put all the goats in there? And in 2 months, she saw the creek for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah. So the boar goat has had a dynamic influence on the agricultural industry, certainly in the state of Texas, but throughout the United States. And they're well adapted, taken care of properly. They do well.
Well, I think, still their greatest place in our industry is when you take them and mix them with our indigenous goats, our Spanish goats, whatever name you'd like to call them. When we mix those two, that makes a real nice combination, and you can kid them out there in the pasture and leave them where they belong, and don't have to pamper them, and makes a lot of difference.
We talked earlier in the percentage show, especially about some of the goats that were maybe a little bit excessively conditioned, had a little more fat on them than they needed because they'd been fed a little bit too much. We saw a lot of that in the full-blood goats early, and part of that was because, when you give $30,000 for a goat, you want to be sure you're taking care of them. But then we took too good a care of them, and so we forgot to let them be goats. and goats are really made to perform in rough country. So this is a really nice set of doe kids in the ring right here, right now, Norman.
Yeah, this is fun. I mean, there's types and kinds in there, and if you like a certain one, why you better root for that one and see if that one will win. And if you favor one of the others, well, hang your hat there and see what happens. Because there's there's one of every kind.
Watching what they're doing right now is checking the validation numbers. All these goats have to go through a validation program. We talked about that earlier with the goats that we had this morning in the commercial doe classes. So these goats are validated as well. So they're checking the tattoos for the goats and the validation numbers for those goats to be sure that they all meet the qualifications to be here in the show.
Second call, Class 13. Second call, Class 13. You should be in the staging area at this time.
Our superintendents and volunteers are the ones that are doing the checking. State validation committee chair or a person is part of the committee that's doing the checking here in the show. Certainly, it takes a lot of people to run a livestock show, and these are some of the folks on the ground that are especially working hard. We really appreciate all the work that they do.
put our hands together as we dismiss part of the class. We appreciate y'all attending the San Antonio Livestock Exposition. Want you to come back next year.
I guess a bunch of men are going to have to stop by Walmart this evening and pick up an emergency Valentine present because they forgot it till today. But it just reminded me when I was thinking of that. I got a friend that went to his lawyer the other day, and he gave him this little write-up, and the lawyer was reading it. And he said, "Now, you're sure you want me to put that in your will?" He said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Well, you know, I got to sign off that you are of sound health and mind."
Sound mind.
Yeah, when I put this in your will. And he said, "That's fine." He said, "Well, you better explain it to me." He said, "It says here when you pass away, you want to be cremated." He said, "That's correct." He said, "Yeah, but what about this deal of taking those ashes and giving them to 3 high school boys and telling them to drive around that Walmart parking lot and scatter those ashes all over that parking lot?" He said, "That's pretty simple." He said, "I just
Still
want
looking for
my
several
wife."
entries from Class 13. Class 13, we're still
You'll
looking
have to
for
wait on the
several entries.
punchline.
Please make your way to the staging area. Our judge is placing out Class 12, so your class will be going into the ring shortly.
He said that right there is simple. He said, "I want to make darn sure my wife visits me every day."
Well, for those of us who still reside in a rather rural community, we know that when we go to a metropolis, that the first place our wives are going to go is Walmart.
Still looking for 4 entries in Class 13. 4 entries, please, in Class 13. Comments on Class 12.
It's a really difficult class to put together, and you always want to try to have something that mirrors one another. It's similar, at least in type, and that's how this doe wound up sliding into the second hole to match up the one that starts the class. The one that starts the class is one that when she gets her gathered up and gets that head up and gets it extended up to that front end, that nose coming up, she levels out. She's got tremendous amount of depth of body and volume. She's really thick and wide over her top. She's big-ended. She's wide-chested. She's wide-based on both ends. I'd like to extend her just a little bit. But, boy, she just got so much product, and she's so correct in there that, I had to wind up using her. This one is second, follows the same type. She's got a little more condition over those lower ribs. Maybe she's a little bit longer-sided than the one that starts the class, but I think they match the same type. But she's really tough-made. She's big-bone. She's got a lot of volume to her, to wind up in that second hole. This one in third, you just love the attractiveness of this doe. She gets in motion, and she gets out there. She takes that long stride. She's really smooth, that transition from her neck, shoulders, and back into her hip, and she's leveling her hip. There's just not enough product in there, but she's just such a beautiful outline and just balances up so nicely. You just have to slide her in there towards the top of the class. The doe that comes next is one that you get her in motion, she wins the class. She wins the class when you put her in motion. She puts that tail up. She levels out as level as you can make one. She looks just as strong and level in that top line, and she's super long-bodied. But then she gets out here, and she kind of eases off, and she just doesn't show that balanced look out there, and you just have to slide her down just a little bit. This doe is one that I really, when she come in, I nailed her immediately, because this is the one that catches her eye from side view and just said, here I am, I've got to be at the top of the class. You just love how she ties into that neck and shoulder and front end. She gives you that wonderful look to her. She's got some good rib curvature to her. You love that. She's got a beautiful boar head on her. So, wow, all these things are wonderful. You get around and get behind her and track her away, and she just does not have enough muscle. She narrows up. She comes together in her hind legs. She's just not wide enough and just not enough muscle. But, man, she's one that I thought I found one to ride to town on. The one that comes next, a little shorter, and you measure the total length of the hind saddle. Big old rib in her, big-ended, big top. She just kind of jammed together just a little bit. Here's another one that I liked on the move a lot. This doe, I had her pegged at one time up in the top 3 or 4 in the class. And you get behind her and you get your hands on her, there's just not enough product there, and that's why I had to roll her down. But she's one that in motion, man, I really like this female. Just need more of her. The last two at the end, when you put them in motion and walk away, they're the narrowest spaced of any of them out here. So they just need more muscle down through that lower leg. But look at them in the side view. Good rib shape, good depth of body, all those things. Really a nice balanced look on the doe at the end of the class. Really a beautiful, strong head, strong lower jaw. Just not enough muscle to get around behind them, but that just shows you the depth and the pieces in here that you could use in any breeding program and really advance your program. A tribute to y'all. Let's give them a big round of applause. Great class.
Class 12 results. 7th place, Jada Young, Leonard FFA. Class 6th place, Skylar Yao, Wilson County 4-H. 5th place is Maya Moreno, Edinburgh Vela FFA. Our 4th place finisher, Talia Ochoa, Sherryland Pioneer FFA. 3rd place goes to Skylar Yao, Wilson County 4-H member. 2nd place is Casey Stevens, Mullen FFA, and your class winner from the Kendall County 4-H Club, Corey Smith. We had a couple kids that need to switch goats. As soon as we get that done, we will open the gate, come in with the next group, 18 animals in the next class.
Entering the ring is the first class of yearling does. So these would be over 12 months of age and up to 18 months of age. Like the
Class 13 in the ring. We'll call for Class 14 to the staging area. Thank you for that round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We are dismissing some of our contestants from the ring at this time.
This is the first class of yearling goats. And pretty deep class of does. Head on these boar goats, especially these top three does, is really a beautiful head structure. Now, if I were that young lady in second, I would move forward so that no one could stick one in that open hole. That's sort of basic showmanship that you could.
Hide that spot.
That's right. I never let that judge have an open spot to put one in front of you.
No, you got to reserve that for yourself.
Norman, I believe that as we were talking in the percentage goats as they got older, about some who had not missed a meal, that we have some here that are beginning to show the same characteristic.
Yeah,
Still need 3 entries for Class 14. Need 3 entries for Class 14, please.
And really, we're not helping the future of that doe to get her over conditioned at a young age. And I think Mr. Holland commented on that in the percentage show. He may make that same comment.
I think it's pretty interesting when you look out there and right now, and we've got all little girls showing.
Well, we certainly do, don't we?
Yep.
I think that Norman and I would say, as you look at this front view of these 3 animals that the judge is evaluating right now, that all 3 of those exhibitors are actually standing those goats excessively wide. And I don't think that's a sound thing. And sometimes, you know, and I brought that up only because we can look at videos and help young people understand the structure of their animals better sometimes by using videos, and that would help them understand what actually looks best for them.
Yeah, each one of them looks splay-footed up there in front end, and the kids are being taught apparently to set them up like that, and that's baloney.
Yeah,
They ought to watch them in the pen at home and see where they set their feet naturally, so they could figure out how to fit that under their body. Look at that; those does aren't that wide.
no.
Look at them coming at us.
It's not a. So I think they could use these videos to actually help them do a better job of setting those, and they have good control of their. We're not saying they're not good showmen, but there's some very basic things that they could benefit from.
Those does are putting their feet exactly where they're setting them down.
Yeah.
Little doe in second this time has hers just about right. Now look at her.
She moved it. Mhm.
Never mind. I was just talking to myself.
Yes. Well, we're a little from the old school.
I don't care if it's old school or kindergarten.
And you know that also leads to the fact that when these young people are involved not only in the exhibition aspect, showing aspect, if they're on some judging teams and learning how to evaluate livestock, then they have the opportunity to actually learn where those feet should be placed anatomically for the animal. And so that's That's one thing that they can do if they go ahead and get involved in some of these judging schools and things. Then they'll learn that better.
Presently, only this one that Eddie's picking on has her front feet in the right place. Those other two.
And we say that not to be critical of the young people.
No.
We just, if they happen to see this, from a couple of old fossils who have looked at animals for a long time, they might can benefit from hearing what we had to say about that.
Well, they're doing what they've been told.
Yes.
Look at that.
This class, is to me is hard to put together. The one that I like from the side view is this female right here. She is just so and on the move. She really grabs your attention on the move, up through that neck and front end, that tall at the point of the shoulders, the extra length of body she possesses. She just balances out very, very smooth. I could bust her out wider in her front end. I could stouten her up and just give her a shot more muscle and to get around behind her. Those two things. But when you look at her from that side profile and how she ties together and that neat look when she's going around the ring, taking that good long stride, I just like all those things about her. She's got a beautiful, beautiful head and horn set on her. The doe in second, she's carrying a little extra cover over those lower ribs. Just pretty soft in there, and so I was going to use her, and I said no, I'm going to just put her down in that second. That way I can match up that doe that's in third to put those together, because I just couldn't bear moving this doe all the way down to that third hole to keep these two together. So that's why I wound up with her in first and putting these two in second and third. But this doe in second, man, she is powerful topped. I mean, she has just got a huge top. You can't even span her loin all the way back to her hip. She's got a massive rear end on her. She got excellent foot size and bone. She's got a very beautiful head on her. She's just carrying a little cover and condition. Now, maybe not quite as long-bodied as the doe that wins the class. This one in third. To lengthen her out. She's getting a little bold up through the front end to the point that you'd like to change that set on those front legs. But boy, she is so powerful. She's got such a big old rack in her all the way back through that hip. Like I said, she just has so much product. I just couldn't put her down lower than that third hole. Same thing about the one in fourth. I pulled her late. She's one that to get your hands on her, you can't span the width of loin that she has. She carries it all the way back. She's massive in her rear end. She's a little shorter coupled. She's just a tick soft on her pastures as well. But boy, she has got a lot of thickness to her. This doe, I had her up like at the second one up in the front. She's a doe when you get behind her and watch her go away, you'd like to change her structure. I love the length of body she has. Again, she's got a beautiful head, a good strong lower jaw, extra length of side, and all those things are wonderful. I just like to stouten her up and just give her a shot more width, base, and thickness, off that rear end when she goes away. The doe that's coming next, again, another one that had up at the very front. She's one that just doesn't have enough product in her. She gets your hands on her, she's just not enough thickness. She doesn't square in and power up out through that hip down to the ground like you'd like to see, but you love that length and extension you have in this doe. And again, it's another really strong lower jaw in this doe, and you like all those things about her. These two at the end, I pulled at the end. I thought they deserve to be over here. There's plenty of muscle, plenty of thickness. They just don't have that wow factor that gets them up any higher in the class in there. Doe, the red paint doe, that red comes right at a bad spot that makes her look a little softer in her top line than she really is, but just doesn't have as much product in her. So great class. Let's give them a nice round of applause.
Results for Class 13. Sixth place, Talia Ochoa, Sherryland Pioneer FFA. Fifth place, Corey Smith, Kendall County 4-H. Fourth place, Talia Ochoa, Sherryland Pioneer FFA. Third place, Jada Young, Leonard FFA. Second place, Corey Smith, Kendall County 4-H. And your class winner from the Rio Grande City FFA chapter, Naitza Ramirez. Class 14 will be coming in the ring. We were short one entry. Let me see if we found that one. Class 14 is now walking in the ring. Fifteen records in this class. We will be placing 5. 15 places 5. How about a round of applause for these youngsters being dismissed from the ring at this time? Class 14 is in the ring. Class 15 should be making your way to the staging area, please. Class 15 is a lot smaller, only 6 entries in it, so if you are in Class 16, you should be also thinking about it. Thank you. Still looking for one entry from Class 15, please. One entry from Class 15. Class 14 is almost placed down.
I'm going to go back to one that I love her again from the side view. I'd like to stouten her up, and I'd like to give her a shot more muscle. But when you look at one that's structurally correct, that really north and south, and it just sets them down and is so smooth up to that neck and shoulder and front end, just the balanced look that she has and all those things she has going for her, you know, she has to win it. She could probably be a little bit stronger about her head, a little wider in her muzzle and those things, but but she just really, puts together a lot of positive pieces. Just like to give her a shot more muscle. The doe in second, she's a tough made doe. She's getting a little bit straight on the front end. I'd like to change her a little bit there, put a little more flex in there. She's got a big old top on her. She's big ended. She's got some depth. She got some rib. She got a really strong head on her and a strong lower jaw, and I love all those things about her. Of course, the doe that's the obvious one that, if you're looking on your TV screen or computer screen and all those things from a side view, you're just saying, well, why is this doe not winning the class easily? And, she's one that you just love the big body in her. She's really a tough-made female. She's got a really strong head on her. You love the depth in that forerib and how she carries it all the way back. She's just massive, like I said, in her foot size and bone and all those things, on and on, until you put her in motion. And I just had to live with myself on structure. And when I have one that takes that first step and it just comes in on top of one another and walks a tightrope, I just can't live with that. I've got to open them up, bust them out wider, and make them track truer. And if I could do that, then she's easy winner of this class. The one in fourth, she's one that's getting a little straight behind. She's one that measures just a little shorter, but boy, she's massive topped. She's big ended. She just gets a little straight. She gets a little more, I wouldn't call her frail, but you'd like to stouten her up in her foot size and her bone to go with that massive amount of muscle and thickness she has. And again, she's carrying just a little more cover. We work on down, still a beautiful doe from a side view, one that you get your hands on her just doesn't handle with quite the authority and muscle you'd like to have. And the same thing true on down the line. We just need a little more muscle in these, or change them a piece where they make them a little bit longer bodied, a little longer hind saddle, just change them in some pieces here and there. But the quality was so good, we had to add these extra goats in here. Very, very strong class all the way to the end. Let's give a big round of applause.
You bet, and thank you very much. Fifth place, Riley Castle from Clearbrook FFA. Fourth place, Corey Smith, Kendall County 4-H. Third place, Talia Ochoa, Sherryland Pioneer FFA. Second place, Avery Fisher, Collin County 4-H member, and your class winner from the Edinburgh Vela FFA chapter, Maya Moreno. Class 15 coming in the ring, 6. Should be 6 animals in class 15. We will place 3. 6 entries. We'll place 3. If you're in class 16, please work your way up. Class 15 and 16. 15 walking in, 16. Please come to the staging area. With class 15 in the ring, that's not a large class. 16 is not a large class. If you had a first or second place in any of the previous classes, please start working your way back to the staging area. We'll select our overall champion doe and our reserve champion doe.
Well, Mr. Holland has been evaluating all these classes today. This is class 6. This is a full-blood 2-year-old does. There'll be one more class, and then he'll have the opportunity to select the champion full-blood doe and the reserve and present scholarships to these young people.
I think we have a pair of really powerful females to start this class. The one we're starting with, she has a lot of look to her. She has a lot of balance to her. She has a lot of product in her. A lot of muscles. You handle her down over her top. You put her in motion and walk her away from you. She certainly puts those feet and legs out on the corners a little more correct than the doe that comes in second. But just that balanced look with a little more structural correctness, she wins this class. Really a heavy-duty type doe that wins the second hole. I mean, boy, she's just massive in that foot size and bone. She comes out of that neck and shoulder really good. She's got a beautiful, strong head and lower jaw. You love that about her. She just moves back through her body really smooth and balanced, a good rib curvature. You like all those things. Put her in motion again. Just like to put her out in the corner just a little wider. But boy, that's some being picky really on a really outstanding female to come in second hole. We have the doe in third, another one that's got a lot of depth of body to her. She's massive over her top. She's wide out through her loin. She just doesn't have quite the flex of her hind hock, getting a little bit straight in there, not quite the length of body we have in the 1 and 2. And the 2 at the end of the class day just get down a little less muscle in each one of them down the line in a really strong class, and they just didn't have enough muscle today, so give them a nice hand.
Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the applause. Third place, Corey Smith, Kendall County 4-H member. Second place, Maya Moreno, Edinburgh Vela FFA member. And our class winner, Jada Young Leonard, FFA. Coming into the ring now will be our final class of the full-blood show. Class 16. We have 5 entries in it. If you had a first or second place goat in any of the previous classes, please report to the staging area so we can select our champion full blood. First or second place in any of the previous classes.
Mr. Holland is now evaluating the age does in the full blood division. This will be the last class, and then we'll have the selection of the champion in reserve. And, of course, scholarship presentations to the champions and reserves, I think in both the percentage show and the full blood show. this doe reminds me of a doe that you produced one time that actually won 2 or 3 scholarships here for us individuals. Just look at her head and the femininity about her head and neck.
Class 11, second place finisher. Class 11, second place finisher. We need you to the staging area, please.
Well, we're going to start the class, this last class of the day, with one that's really powerfully made. You love the rib curvature she has, big top, big ended. She's a doe, maybe jammed together a little bit in the front end. You like to lengthen her out and extend her, clean her up in that brisket breast area a little bit. Just extend her on there and take a little extra condition off those ribs. The red doe, a little longer fronted doe, but she just doesn't have the amount of muscle and thickness you handle over her rack and down into her hip. She just doesn't have the power down in through there. A little bit fuller today, or a little more rib in her, kind of takes away from her just a little bit. Just doesn't have the toughness that we have in the doe that starts the class. Well, we have a third place now. Sorry for the validation issues, but like I said, they've been fair to everyone. They've gone through, they've checked them all, and so they've done the best of their ability to do that. And you've got to commend the validation committee for the job that they're doing and trying to do the best they can to be fair to everyone. So, third place doe, a little shorter couple kind of a doe, kind of gets her legs underneath her as she moves around, but she does have some muscle, some thickness. She's not quite as level out through her hip and all, but she has some muscle, just doesn't have quite that balanced look like we have on our top two up here. So let's give them all a nice round of applause. We end the day on our classes.
Placings in our Class 16, Laney Osborne will be our third place finisher from Marion FFA. Second place goes to Rebecca Sullivan, Aledo FFA. And I'm guessing that might be a sister. Samantha Sullivan, also from Aledo FFA, is going to be your class winner. We're going to give those just a second to freshen them up just a little bit in the back. We'll get them lined up, and we'll come out here in just a second and pick your overall champion full blood. As we do that, if we could have our grand champion percentage doe and our reserve champion percentage doe come back to the staging area, please. We do not need the goats, excuse me. We just need the youngsters. The grand champion percentage went to Jada Young, and the reserve was Jordan Lunday. We do not need your animals. We just need y'all. Thank you.
Well, Norman, we've been here 2 days now and had the opportunity to comment on the live feed of the show, and I just want to say it's been a good experience for me. I've certainly enjoyed it. I hope that the public has enjoyed the commentary that we've had. Certainly, I want to thank the San Antonio Livestock Exposition for all they do for the young people of the state of Texas. And I want to thank all the volunteers who've committed their time, and it's been a pleasure for us to be here with them. There's not a lot more for us to do, and so I think you and I can kind of sign off at this time, and maybe we can head back to West Texas.
That sounds like a winner to me.
I am going to add one other thing before you and I leave. There were 160 junior Bordeauxs entered in the full-blood show. 128 of those does actually checked in. That's an 80% arrival rate, and that's an exceptionally good arrival rate. I think that speaks to the way people feel about the San Antonio Livestock Exposition, and I think that certainly shows that they appreciate being here. They appreciate all that the show does for them, and I would certainly second that. It's been good to be here.
If I could have Jada Young and Jordan Lunday to come into the show ring, please. Jada Young and Jordan Lunday to come into the show ring, please.
Test. Whoa.
Hello. Yo. Okay. Good evening. How is everyone doing today? My name's Presley, and I have Morgan here with me. We are actually interns. We are on the stream team, so we are two of the girls that you see running around the ring with the gimbals. Morgan, what would you say is the most challenging thing about streaming the livestock show? Turn it up.
I hate to break it to everybody, but I think you're all substantially better at running cameras and gimbals than you are talking on the live broadcast. That's just my take.
I mean, I would say
And
all around that I'm pretty skilled. I'm thinking of starting a podcast now.
What would your podcast be about?
I think gimbals for sure.
Everybody really wanted to tune out. Now we're giving them lots of reasons to.
I mean, first of all, it's boars today, so, you know, it's not like we have a lot of traffic.
What is that supposed to mean?
So, can we jump back to the podcast thing? Are you a true crime junkie?
I mean, sometimes on my drive to and from College Station to New Braunfels, there have been a couple times that I get into crime junkie, I think. But I'm the kind of person who I have to find a podcast that, like, I really like the people and what they talk about in, like, pretty much every episode for me to stick to it. So, but honestly, I've really gotten into motivational podcasts.
I was fixing to ask, do you do motivational?
Do I do motivational? Walking to class on campus, you know,
Where are you a student at?
Texas A&M University,
All right, what are you
Gig 'em.
studying there?
ag communication and journalism.
Okay. All right, so back to your podcast on your way to class.
Right. What's your next question?
You were talking about your podcast that you listen to on the way to class.
Oh, right. You're not streaming it?
Yeah, cut it. We got a behind the scenes.
Wait, oh.
We got a behind the scenes angle over here.
Okay.
This is what it's like behind the deck.
Okay, right. I like it. This is new. You know, I think we would have a lot more viewers if you had us up here behind the mics and the camera, I will say. I mean, in front of the camera. Being behind the camera, but in front is a good look for all of us, I will say.
Agree to disagree. I like the behind the scenes.
But that
we've got Ori here with us now.
Oh, no.
Here, I'm going to let Ori get in the camera.
I think...
Get in here, Ori. There he is.
Yeah, just keep it blurred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me look better.
Okay, so podcast, motivational. Do you listen to podcasts, Ori?
Oh yeah,
Let's guess. Livestock.
Joe Rogan.
Oh, I wasn't even gonna go there, but honestly, not surprised. Not even one bit.
What exactly does that mean?
I'm just saying, what the people that I meet that listen to Joe Rogan podcasts, questionable. Questionable. That's all I'll say. Pretty questionable.
Question COVID?
Wait.
Question the vaccine?
Yeah, do they question the vaccine?
Oh, do the people? Is that a little I mean, no. Hey, why am I blurred? Blur Ori. Focus.
You're blurred because I'm the star of the show.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Any other podcast? That's it. If that's it, then
I just
gotta-
listen to like mainly comedy podcasts.
right. See, comedy when I'm driving, I like those. It keeps me awake for sure. But I never thought I would do like motivational, but like really works.
Are you a Gary V?
Yeah.
Wait,
Hustle and grind. All you have to do is hustle and grind.
no, I'll actually pull it up because okay, number one, Emma Chamberlain. You wouldn't know, you wouldn't get it. It's fine, I get that. Another one, who is it? The Mindset Mentor. That one's pretty good, but they're like pretty short, which I like too. I really just listen to two. I've added the On Purpose with Jay.
I'm feeling motivated from this conversation.
Also, reading books. I've gotten into reading books, but again, motivational because, you know, yeah. But I always hated reading until I like actually started reading. I like, but
Nerd.
you're trash.
From a
You're
little
trash,
earlier
guys.
today, this young lady, Jada Young, was selected as our overall champion percentage
Gotta go back
doe.
to my job.
She is receiving a $10,000 scholarship right now for her efforts from our scholarship committee and some of our AVPs. We appreciate them coming over. Then we'll have this young man step in there, Jordan Lunday. Jordan is the reserve champion percentage doe. And now it's time to select our champion full blood in our junior show. Let's introduce the youngsters and bring them back in the ring. From Class 10, our class winner from the Rio Grande City FFA chapter, Naitza Ramirez. Coming to us from Class 11, a Lavernia FFA member, J. Preston Wallace. Out of Class 12, a Kendall County 4-H member, Corey Smith. Coming out of Class 13, once again from Rio Grande City FFA, Naitza Ramirez. Class 14 from the Edinburgh Vela FFA chapter, Maya Moreno. Class 15, a young lady we just met from the Leonard FFA chapter, Jada Young. And from Class 16, from the Alito FFA chapter, Samantha Sullivan. Now let's meet the runner-up in each of those classes. Going back to Class 10, second place, Naitza Ramirez, Rio Grande City FFA. Second out of Class 11, Talia Ochoa, Sherryland Pioneer FFA. Class 12 brought us Casey Stevens, Mullen FFA. Class 13, Corey Smith, Kendall County 4-H. Class 14, Avery Fisher, Collin County 4-H. Class 15, Maya Moreno, Edinburgh Vela FFA. And Class 16, Rebecca Sullivan, Alito FFA. Mr. Holland, you've got a great group of goats out there, but you got a greater group of kids.
So we're working through our champion full blood drive right now. What have you thought about the goat show today, Presley?
Well, from being in the ring from what time did the show start? 7
o'clock.
7 o'clock? Being in the ring from 7 a.m. to almost 5 o'clock.
And we're still going.
See, we are still going. I grew up showing market goats. I started in 3rd grade, I believe.
You have a percentage open division, percentage boar. Please, those early classes, please start working your way up. Class 2 is small. Class 3 as well. Class 4 small. It's a little quicker, be a little quicker in the open show, but if you have the percentage goats, if you would start working your way to the staging area, we would appreciate it.
I believe I stopped showing goats somewhere around middle school and switched to lambs. Honestly, goats weren't one of my favorites to show, I will say. Especially if I would say if you're a taller person, for sure. But I really haven't watched many commercial doe, boar, full blood, boar, really any of those shows too often. So this was definitely something new, I would say. But it was interesting. The judge was really nice. He made it fun. What are your thoughts?
I agree on it being interesting part. Throw a pig girl in a goat barn.
Right.
It's a little different. A lot different, actually.
A lot.
A
little quieter in here.
It's a little quieter. Yesterday, I do not believe that was the fact with the breeding sheep show. Those guys got a little rowdy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's been an all right day. I definitely have learned a lot. Norman and the commentators that were up here earlier did a great job of
they were
kind of breaking it down for us. So.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of questions.
Yep. Good guys. Made it fun.
Oh, for sure. They didn't as our what were those other two commentators? What were we showing? Was it Gilts in here that we had? They had a mullet count.
Oh.
For all the kids in the ring that had mullets. That was interesting. I
only saw one mullet yesterday.
That is a lie.
Really?
That is a lie.
Mullet ticker That
I
would be
know.
great.
Oh, did you see? Oh, I don't think you were here yet. I think you were still sleeping today. There was.
Disclaimer: I was told I could sleep in today.
It must be nice. We did wake up at 5 o'clock this morning, and we were very, very quiet not to wake Morgan up. But there was a kid earlier today, this morning, and his mullet, it might have been longer than my hair.
Oh wow,
It took him a long time. I know it did.
that's
I know
impressive.
it did. But
Oh, speaking of mullets, there's one right there. I think.
where?
It's just a little. It's just a little long.
I would say that's like
It's long on top too, so I
has-
wouldn't call that a mullet.
What's that haircut? Not Will Ferrell anymore. No one will get that. But no, he kind of looks like a brunette version of who's in Shrek? The prince that's in Shrek.
Oh, Prince Charming is his name on Shrek.
Is it really?
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah, in the second Shrek.
I would definitely say that is a very, very close haircut to that. Just different color.
It just
but
looks so silky smooth.
It really it flows.
Come on.
Yeah. Talking about the. Wait, never mind. Camera's off. Ori, go ahead and add a shot to the luscious hair, real quick. Get real close in there. I know that camera will pick up every single hair.
Yeah, well.
These goats are big. They
They are. They're big girls.
these are units out here.
Yeah.
I was used to goats being, what,
90 pounds, I think, at their heaviest.
70, and
The
sometimes-
biggest I've ever seen a goat show is 100 pounds. These are well over.
well, they ate the 100-pound goat.
Yep.
But having a little goat push up against you with 70, 80 pounds, whatever, compared to a 180-pound lamb, it's a lot different. But these right here, they do eat. They look like they ate their sister, I guess, in the pen before they got in here.
Yeah. Just a little snack.
I found out there was a little confusion, I will say, a little miscommunication. Someone tried to tell me that the goats were just pretty full. They had just had a little too much to eat, but come to find out they are in fact with child. And the last thing that I would want to do if I was as pregnant as those
Just be out here working.
those heavyweights out there is be in this ring, being led around, and that's not what here we go. Here
Looks
we
like
go.
we got one.
Well, it's certainly been my privilege to be at the San Antonio Livestock Show judging the Junior Boar Goat Scholarship Show. Quite an honor to be asked to be here, and just had a lot of fun working with these youngsters and working with all these volunteers, and y'all are just to be commended. Let's put our hands together for the volunteers that help make this show run. It makes it so smooth. And then for our scholarship committee, our board of directors and the people that work to get the money to help these youngsters further their education. Let's give a big round of applause for the committee doing that. We've worked through these full bloods today. Our doe kid down here to our aged doe at the far end, and we've had a lot of quality out here in the classes. I'm not going to go through and talk each and every one of them. There's differences, when you're trying to line them up and trying to pick the best one in that class, and then you get out here and have fun when you get a different variety, but you have a lot of good ones. But better than that, all these outstanding young people. Let's get a big round of applause for these young people that made it out here to the championship deal. We'll go out here now and we'll shake hands with our grand champion of this year's scholarship in the full blood division.
Our grand champion, full blood, goes to Maya Moore out of Class 14, Edinburgh Vela FFA chapter. Once again, Maya Moreno, Edinburgh Vela FFA, $10,000 scholarship recipient, along with the champion banner for the full blood boar goat. In that time we were taking that picture, we slid Avery Fisher, the second place goat in that class, from back into contention for the reserve champion. She's a Collin County 4-H member.
Test. There it is.
Our reserve champion is Naitza Ramirez. She comes to us out of Class 13, Rio Grande City FFA member.
All I have to say is I don't know what you're supposed to look for in a full blood boar, but that's a good looking goat. So is Grand, I will say.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, the champion was beautiful on the stick. Don't know much past that though.
Yeah, I mean, whatever a full blood boar is supposed to have, that one had it, and more.
And more. All right. Well,
No.
Oh,
The show's
okay.
over. The podcast will not end.
podcast is in.
We'll be here all night. I'll go 5 a.m. to 5 a.m. You know,
All right.
I gotta be back here. What? Wait, do we work tomorrow? We have tomorrow off.
We're off tomorrow.
We do. Happy Valentine's
Oh
Day.
yeah.
Put me
Oh,
in,
no.
coach.
Please don't.
Put my gimbal up. You know, and I won't stop. I won't stop dating until we've loaded up and we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Y'all just keep
Y'all
working.
just let us
Y'all
know
keep
when you're ready to
working.
go.
We'll
Oh,
be.
we got Ori.
Oh God. Ori.
So
Hit the gimbal.
oh, Ori's muted.
You'll be unmuted. You'll be unmuted if you put our gimbal up.
Oh hey.
What?